Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a birthday bash card showcase using new stamps, dies, and stencils from the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero June 2021 release. I am using only add-ons today. I only received the add-ons, so I will not be sharing ideas with the main kit. Please be sure to check out the Hero Arts blog and YouTube channel for those kind of inspirational type of projects. I am using tons of the add-ons today. I absolutely love this. We all need birthday cards. I'm actually stamping the number candles stamps from the number candles stamp set on a scrap of Bristol Smooth cardstock. I used a lot of my scraps today just to get those used up, I guess. And I have stamped the number candles with the clear embossing and watermark ink and heat embossed with the white detail embossing powder. Then we're going to do one of my very favorite techniques, which is to do kind of a faux watercolor look with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I am coloring the main part of the candle with a couple of shades per color family and then blending the rest of the color out with a water brush pen. A paintbrush dipped in water would also work for this technique. You'll notice I am going to do rainbow colors for my candles. I'm also going to leave the top part, the wax dripping at the top of the candle. I'm sort of imagining my candle as having color on the outside and white on the inside, if that makes sense. So as the candle is burning down, it's kind of white or white glittery is what we're going to have today, dripping down the outside of the candle. Now I used bright yellow and yellow for these, the 3 and the 4. I'm going to fix those in a minute. I often use bright yellow and yellow when I want a kind of orangey yellow look. I often kind of intermix those, but I need both today. So I need the water that I applied to those to dry a bit before I go back and kind of fix the coloring. So here's a little bit of orange that we're going to actually pull in with our bright yellow. So that's going to make the 3 much more orangish, which I think is going to work a lot better for our card. And then we're going to pull quite a bit more of the bright yellow into the yellow, pale yellow color combination of the 4. Light green and yellow green were used for the 5 candle, and turquoise green and green shadow for the turquoise candle. A little cobalt blue and light blue for the number 7. And then we're going to have blue and shadow mauve for the 8. A little of the blue goes a long, long way. It is a very vibrant color. And then finally, we are going to have our number 9 with light lavender, or light violet and pale violet. Want to get those color names correct. And then again, just blending that out with our water brush marker. Now, I would definitely recommend letting this air dry for a few minutes before grabbing the coordinating dies and die cutting our candles. Now, you might be saying, where are the flame tips for these? Oh, and I should tell you, I took a little blue haze and added that to the top of the candle just to give a tiny bit of shading that's going to be underneath the sparkly part. And you'll see that here in a minute. Now I went ahead, let those dry, die cut them with the coordinating dies, and then I'm going to add the glitter to the top of all of my candles. So remember, I'm kind of just imagining that they're kind of melting down with this white center. I love the White Blizzard Nouveau product. However, mine is getting a little old and it kept clogging, which was super annoying. I really think I probably need to pick up another one. I used to use this on like almost every card, and I think it's been a little bit since I've used this product, And then I proceeded to use it quite a lot today because I really, really love it. Now, once I have the glitter on all of my numbers, I am simply going to kind of set those aside while I work on the background of the card. So just kind of moving these, let's make sure we have them all. So we still have the flames for the top of the candles and our background to create. These candles are awesome. If you want to create a specific number for a birthday card, like the 50th birthday or whatever the case may be, these are fantastic. Kids' birthdays, you could even use these like if you do scrapbooking or Project Life. Wouldn't these be fun for birthday spreads for anyone? But I really think they're so super cute and clever. I love them so much though that I thought I don't have a specific birthday in mind to create them for, so why not just use all of them? So that's why I have all of them for my card today. And I decided to do a slimline style card. I did use the Hero Arts Slimline and Bookmarks Infinity dies to die cut my background, and then I'm going to ink this up with a nice kind of light covering of Pool Party Reactive ink, just to get a little color on there. Then we're going to take the new Streamer Stencil and we are going to ink through this with 4 colors of Hero Arts Reactive inks. I'm going to tape it in place. We're going to have to kind of piece it together, but I'm going to show you this particular stencil was very easy to piece together because there's nothing kind of with a straight edge, if that makes sense. I added blue raspberry first, then we're going to have a little blue or splash, pardon me. So blue raspberry, splash, blue Hawaii, and then finally Pool Party. So that's this Pool Party is the same color as the background. That's going to be a very, very tone on tone. I just wanted to have lots of shades of blue in this background. So as I'm getting to the blue Hawaii, I'm kind of running out of the streamers and confetti here. So I want to be really careful I don't ink to the edge. We'll ink through that. Then we're going to carefully remove our stencil. I did tape it in place so it wouldn't go anywhere. And see how it's going to be pretty easy to just line that up. So I'm going to play with it a little bit, figure out my placement, and then I will tape it in place and ink up the rest of our panel. So we'll just add a little bit more blue Hawaii because I kind of did a diagonal type of design. And finally, that little Pool Party there. Isn't this fun? I love stencils. Stencils are so great right now, and there's so many good ones. I think this is going to work for all kinds of celebration type occasions, not just birthdays. And while I made this work for a slimline, you can use this for your A2 sized cards. Just create something very, very similar like that with a more traditional style or size of card. So I'm going to take my candles and I'm just going to lay them out here, and I was picking them up with tweezers because that made it easy. Oh, look at that pretty rainbow of numbers right there on our background. Now we need the flames for the top of our numbers. So what I want to do is go ahead and grab another scrap of cardstock. There are 3 different flames in the candle stamp set, the number candles stamp set, and I am going to simply stamp these 3 times so that I have enough for my 9 candles, and stamp them with the embossing and watermark ink and heat emboss with the white embossing powder. Then we are going to color these in with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers as well before we assemble our card. we're going to use a combination of carmine red, bright yellow, and yellow to color in these flames. So I only did a tiny bit of red in the center and then bright yellow and yellow around that. Even a little pale yellow at times. I got more comfortable with this as it went on, and I found a combination, or the right combination, I guess I should say. And I went ahead and just kind of did it more assembly line style once I figured out what worked. I love that little heart flame. How cute is that? You could definitely do all of the same flames if you wanted to, or like if you're doing a birthday themed card, like a 10th birthday or something, you could very easily use 2 of the same kind of flames on those if you wanted to. But I love how it's customizable and that you are not locked into a certain flame on a certain birthday number candle. Then we're just gonna line up our dies, and I'm gonna die cut 3 at once to make this a little more streamlined and get this done as quick as possible. Once I have all of my number candles die cut, I am going to start assembling. I'm using foam adhesive squares on the back of the numbers and the flames to pop them up on my card panel so that they're just a little bit raised. I think that it really helps differentiate between the background and those candle designs. So you can see I'm securing the flame to the top of the candle with my foam adhesive square, and then simply adhering the whole thing. I started in the middle and worked my way out both directions. So we started at 5, and I'm going to go ahead and do 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we'll go back and do 4, 3, 2, 1. This also allows me to kind of straighten out that flame as needed. And I love that the foam adhesive makes it so that I am only using foam adhesive to secure that flame to the top of the candle and not trying to adhere it with liquid adhesive or something and then trying to put foam adhesive on the back. Just kind of eliminates that step and makes it so much easier. Now, I know you probably see that Make-A-Wish that I stamped on the background there. That is from the Number Candles stamp set. I stamped that and embossed it in white, and it just does not show up great. And I was a little bit bummed. I had already done this background. I had done all the work. And I thought, it'll be fine. We'll just make it work. Well, as I am assembling all these candles and thinking, I don't want all of this hard work to go to waste, I decided and changed my mind on the color that we're going to use for the embossing. I had left my sentiment in my Misty, and so I'm actually going to simply just place it back in my Misty exactly like I did before and re-stamp that sentiment and change my embossing color. I have mentioned this, it's been a little while since I mentioned this last, but I highly recommend, if you are using a stamp positioner tool like the Misty, leave your stamps in there until you're kind of finished with your card and then clean them and put them away. This is going to allow you that if you do happen to make a mistake or something like that, or you need to re-stamp something, you are going to be able to easily do that without having to try to line it back up. Because I had left the Make-A-Wish in my Misty, I was able to take this directly over to my tool, place it right back where it went, stamp Make-A-Wish very easily. You can see it stamped right on top of the white, and then I simply embossed it with Hero Arts gold embossing powder instead. Then I am going to die cut another Slimline and Bookmarks Infinity die from metallic gold cardstock and mat our stenciled background right on that, and place the entire thing on a Slimline card base that measures 3.5 by 8.5 inches. I like how the gold brings out the gold of the sentiment and also really just kind of ties in nicely to everything else, grounds it without being super dark like maybe a black cardstock would be. We're even going to add some Nuvo crystal drops in White Blizzard to the inside or the reddish part of the flame, just to kind of continue on with that glittery feel. And finally, we're going to finish our card with a scattering of mini gold star confetti, which ties in again to our metallic gold border and stamped and embossed sentiment. This adds to the confetti feel of the card as well. Once we have all of this confetti in place, our slimline style number candles birthday card is all finished. Next up, I decided to do another slimline style card with the bunch of balloons stamp set, and that's just to give us a little bit more room. Plus, we are going to play with a brand new stencil from Hero Arts. This is part of the summer release. It's not part of the June release, but it is brand new. So I used the Slimline and Bookmarks Infinity die first to die cut a background from some smooth white cardstock, and then we are going to kind of figure out our placement and things and use some Hero Arts Reactive inks to add first a cloudy border using the cloud edge of the clouds and grass scene stencil. So there's clouds, there's grass, a sunshine, and birds in this stencil. It's very unique and fun. Again, I love stencils, you guys. They are so awesome. Then we're going to take the sunshine and ink that with a little lemon drop ink, but we're not going to ink the whole thing. I want it to appear to be peeking out from the clouds. So I have added that now, and then we're going to go back to our cloud border on the stencil and use the splash ink to fill in the rest of this panel. I actually ended up loving this because I think it's going to be the perfect backdrop for our bunch of balloons. Sometimes an image can be so amazing. So I thought the bunch of balloons image was really awesome, and it took me a few days to figure out what I wanted to do with that stamp set that would make it kind of have more of a wow factor, I guess, if you will. And when it dawned on me that it would be so cute against a cloudy sky backdrop and also in a slimline style, giving more room, like either up, above, or below, in this case below, for the sentiments, it really just kind of all came together. The background is simple. It is not super detailed, but yet if you imagine taking the bunch of balloons and placing it on maybe a different kind of background or just a solid background, it's not near as impressive. So backgrounds are important. We're just gonna finish inking this up. I do think the sunshine is a little quote-unquote flat, if you will. I generally like to use more than one color, so I will be going back with my sunshine stencil, and we're going to layer just a tiny bit of Creamsicle ink, reactive ink, into that sunshine as soon as we have our cloudy border all in place in the way we want it. I want to fill this whole thing with clouds. Just a little bit more down here at the bottom. Very, very light. Look how awesome this looks. I cannot wait to show you that bunch of balloons on top of this. Now, I had the worst time trying to get this lined back up, and it's because I flipped it over the wrong way. So always make sure you're using it the same direction, because it's a lot easier to line back up when it is going in the same direction, or the same side rather. I'm going to pounce off a little of that ink over on the side of my stencil, and then I am using a smaller blending tool here just to make sure that I'm getting it only on the outer edge of my sunshine. And then I'm going to go back with my yellow blender and just kind of blend that out a little bit. And the two-tone, I think, really helps bring that sunshine to life. We're going to stamp then the bunch of balloons on some Bristol Smooth cardstock with Jellyfish No Line coloring ink. and do a little no line coloring this time instead of the kind of faux watercolor effect of the first card. I started out, this is usually what I do last, but it's such a prominent feature on this image that I actually did it first, and that is taking fine tip black markers and drawing in the balloon strings and the tie that goes around them, and we're going to do all of that first. Then we're going to add color to our image with our Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. I did start with that Sunshine. There's something really cute about this stamp set. So not only is there the bunch of balloons, there's an individual balloon, which I think is really cute, and you could use that with this or without. And then there is a little smiley face that you can add to the balloons. I think it would be especially cute either on the heart or the star. We're going to use it on the star today. I'm going to wait and do that last, and it's going to work out really, really well, and I'll show you that here in just a second. And then there's tons of fantastic sentiments in a really playful and fun font. So there is hello and hope your birthday is poppin'. Those are two separate phrases or sentiments, I guess I should say, and those are the ones I'm using on my card. There's happy birthday, there's you lift me up, I love you so much I could burst, and up, up, and away. So lots of great sentiments. Now again, this is I made this a birthday card, but some of these sentiments definitely wouldn't have to be. I love you so much I could burst. Couldn't you just see coloring these maybe in Valentine's colors, or lots of pinks and reds, and making it more of a love themed type of card? I think that would be so, so cute. You could do other celebrations with these. You could maybe do them like in someone's school colors for a graduation celebration type of card. I think the up, up, and away would be cute there. Or you could simply maybe a get well card, and you could send the you lift me up, or maybe that's a card, a thank you card for someone who did something nice for you. I just think there are a lot of different things you could do with these balloons. Just a funny little note that I thought I would share with you guys is I love coloring balloons. I love cards with balloons. I actually detest them in real life. I don't know why. I mean, I don't like run away from them or anything, but I really don't love them, like as far as maybe it's just when my kids had them when they were kids, and they were just, I don't know. It used to drive me crazy because they like fight over them and things, and I just don't love them. But this bunch of balloons is so happy and fun, and I think it is just so, so cute. I'm kind of keeping with my rainbow theme. So far this month, it's been a lot of rainbow, but hey, I'm here for it. I love rainbow. We can rainbow everything. So I am now going to take that happy little face, and we're going to add it to the star. And I'm adding it to the star today because the star is yellow, and I think we're going to be able to color the cheeks easily over that. Plus it's kind of more in the center of the bunch of balloons, as opposed to the heart, which is more in the upper right. So we are going to stamp that with black ink and then color in the cheeks with peach pink and sugared almond pink. I know I didn't list the marker colors across the top of the screen for this. It is a lot of back and forth between colors, and that is why I chose not to do that today. Plus it is a lot of colors you've already seen. If you want the details for all of those colors, they will be listed on my blog posts for easy reference, so definitely check that out there. I did die cut then my image using the coordinating die. I have to say, Hero Arts knocked it out of the park. I'm a big fan of dies that die cut the extra area. So there's extra area between the balloon strings and then down below at the ends of the balloon strings that die cut out, which I think is phenomenal. I am going to stamp hello first. I stamped them separately so that I could buddy them up and make them closer to appear to be all one sentiment, and I stamped that with a black VersaFine ink. And then we will add hope your birthday is poppin' right below that. We can get it as close as possible, and then we will stamp that with black ink as well. Next, we are going to put foam adhesive all over the back of the balloons. This was a little bit of, it's not a ton of work. I guess I shouldn't say it's a lot of work, but it is quite a lot of adhesive, but I think it looks so much better against the background with a little foam adhesive and popping it up and away from the clouds and the sun. Doesn't that background just work so great? Now, I wish I would have thought of this before I adhered something with foam adhesive, but as I looked at it, I felt like we needed some birds flying up there in the clouds with our balloons. So I'm going to go back to my cloud and grass scene stencil and take a little black ink here. It's really kind of more of a darkish gray. It's called Licorice from Pink Fresh Studio, and I am just going to add some little birds all over the place. And then again, this is another card background, just like the last one, where I didn't really want to place this panel right on the white slimline card base. So you can see it here. It just, to me, it doesn't pop like it should. Poppin'. So we are going to use another one of those Slimline and Bookmarks Infinity dies to die cut some Simon Says Stamp slate gray cardstock, and we're going to mat this whole panel on that. What I love is that it really kind of draws out the stencil birds and plus highlights the balloon strings and our sentiment, and helps really make this whole panel pop off of that white background. And I keep saying pop because I think I keep seeing the word poppin' on the screen. Next up, we are going to be using the new Birthday Border Fancy die and custom coloring the entire border with our Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. This is one of my favorite things to do. Hero Arts does these fancy border dies like no one else. They are so detailed. And there are lots of ways to use this, but my personal favorite is to custom color them, no matter what the coloring medium. So because we're using zigs today, I just went ahead and used those since I had a lot of those colors out already. I'm going to pop out all the little parts and pieces. There's banners, there's balloons, there's this cake with candles, and then packages along the bottom. Oh, it's so much fun. So I did go ahead and go with the candles first. We're going to do kind of a modification on a shaker card. I have always loved shaker cards, but they tend to be super thick and a little bit harder to mail, especially if you're using an A2 sized shaker, which this panel is A2 sized. I used both the outer frame and then the inner part. So it's going to be a flat, excuse me. It's going to be a flat shaker. Next, we're just going to kind of move around the panel, adding color. I will be listing the colors at least the first time you see them. There's going to be a lot of repetition here as far as color goes, and it's all the same colors that you've seen before in the video, I believe. I don't think I pulled in anything new here. Anyway, so we are just going to kind of keep adding color to those areas. Oh, yes, I did pull in a new color. I knew that I did. I used gray and pale gray for the tops of the banners and the balloon strings. There's not a ton of them, and I didn't really want to do another color. I wanted to distinguish those specific areas of the design from everything else that's very, very colorful, and so I did go with something neutral there. I also tried to do my banner kind of in the same colors for both sections of banner. Just, I don't know why I felt like it, I guess. But so there's like blue and shadow mauve, carmine red, light carmine, bright yellow yellow, light green, yellow green, and turquoise green and green shadow. And that's going to be the same on each. I'm just going to do them in a different order. And then the balloons are going to all be, you know, pinks and reds and the yellow orange, violet, blue, turquoise, and limey green and blue. I think I already said blue. No dark blue balloons. I did not use that there. I used that on the banner, and then I'll use it on some of the packages down below. I just love how smooth the zigs go on the Bristol Smooth cardstock. And just really, really quick coloring. I lay out the dark color first and then, the dark color first and then blend out with my lighter color. Something I did that you can't see because it's at the top, it's above where I'm working and it's off camera, is that I laid out my marker colors in rainbow order and together in the sets that I use them in. I use 2 shades per color. I laid them out that way so that I could easily grab them as I am changing between colors. A lot of times it would be great if you could just kind of color in everything that's going to be purple per se or whatever. Well, that was kind of hard until I got further into the design. I wanted to make sure that I was creating a pleasing assortment of color in this, meaning I'm going to move around to different colors throughout to get that the way I want it to look. But it seems to be working that way. And then I do recommend, so I'm working on a glass work surface and some of the color is getting onto that glass work surface. You don't want to accidentally pick some of that up and transfer it to anything else. So periodically clean up your surface so that you're not picking up maybe a red or a dark gray or something and transferring it to, say, a yellow section. And then here is that gray and pale gray for the balloon strings and the top of the banners. I am leaving a little bit of a white border all the way around where I am just kind of drawing in that line naturally. I'm trying to keep kind of more of a organic, I guess, type of border. It doesn't have to be perfect. As more and more color gets added, I absolutely love this. I will say I knew that the balloons in the banners would probably be a little bit easier to color, quote unquote easy. This is easy. This isn't hard. It's just, it is a lot of coloring. But the gift packages down below, it gave me a chance to think about them. And that is because it is not as distinguished as the balloons and banners, like the lines of them, until you get into it. And then you can kind of see the tops of the boxes and the box itself, and then the different layers of the cake. And I'm going to share with you a couple of coloring ideas for those sections so that it makes sense. So I kind of would draw in the top of the box first, and then I would do the rest of the box generally in another color that coordinated. I did one of my favorite little tips with the zigs and added patterns to some of the packages so that the wrapping paper looks like it has, or the gift boxes look like they have some design to them. So like some plaids and stripes, polka dots, and you're gonna see that as we're working. Now I got a little too aggressive with my pale violet marker and I got into the white border, and I actually ended up fixing that by taking a blender and picking that color up here in a second. I hope I show that on camera just so you can see how I kind of picked the color up and moved it away. We're going to draw in some more patterns, and there are in between the loops, oh I did, there I'm cleaning up that purple. In between the loops on the packages on both the left and the right, those do pop out. I just left them in place. I will pop them out before I assemble the rest of the card. Just some simple stripes on that limey green package. Got a little yellow here. And then we'll do a little pink, and we're going to just do some polka dots on that one. And then the tall package over here on the right actually was I was afraid it wasn't going to be my favorite when I originally started coloring it, and I think I ended up loving the design on it the best. So I'm coloring it with light violet and pale violet with some blue and shadow mauve at the top. And then we're going to go back with our light violet marker and draw stripes vertically and add little dots in between the stripes. Kind of imperfect, but these little tips alone, adding in the texture for the gift packages, adds so much interest to these particular images. And then I noticed I forgot this little skinny one down here along the bottom, so we'll add a little color there. Now for the cake, I opted to go with a pink cake, and I'm going to draw in the lines with my peach pink marker, and then I'm going to take sugared almond pink, and I'm using a swishing back and forth motion. I wanted it to look like, you know, frosting the cake and taking your spreading tool and going around the outer edge. And I hope I achieved that with this technique, but I left those lines in. I didn't overly blend it because I liked that texture on the cake design. And then we'll just do several different colors for our candles to finish off our frame. Now that our frame is all finished, I'm going to take the outer die from the Birthday Border Fancy die set and die cut acetate cardstock. You can also trim your acetate cardstock to A2 sized, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And we are going to take sentiments from the Birthday Stamp and Cut, and we're going to line them up. So I'm going to use my frame as a guide. I've not adhered it yet. We're going to use It's Time To and then Eat Cake, and we're going to place those kind of in that natural opening in the background of our card. Then we're going to do my favorite technique for adding a sentiment like this, and we're going to stamp these with StazOn cotton white ink, which works for stamping on acetate. It is going to show up great against our background here in a minute. I'll just put my hand behind it so you can see it. I love, love, love how legible it is. The fonts in this Birthday Stamp and Cut are so good, you guys. So I went around the edges of my panel with some 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive. I am going to pull that all away and place my frame on the acetate. Now remember, I am not doing a traditional shaker, so we're not actually going to be using any foam adhesive for this card. And I didn't get that lined up very well, so hold on a second while we trim away anything that I did not get lined up with my scissors. And then I wanted a custom background behind this. You could use solid cardstock as well, but I actually took an A2 sized piece of smooth white cardstock that I'm going to ink with both Pool Party and Blue Raspberry Hero Arts Reactive inks. I started with Pool Party first, and I thought I would only use Pool Party, but I don't think it's quite dark enough for my card design. So I'm just laying down, this is only Pool Party so far, and I am going to show you the background over it, and I don't think that the white shows up as well against that as it's going to against Blue Raspberry. So let's go ahead and add a nice layer of Blue Raspberry, mostly to about, I would say 2/3 of the panel. And then to break up the background and add just a bit of interest, we are going to spritz this whole panel with white iridescent shimmer spray from Hero Arts. I love this stuff. It is so pretty. It has a touch of shimmer to it, as it says, but because reactive inks work with water, it's going to kind of leave some oxidized, sparkly little spots in our background. And we're going to let that completely dry. And then we're going to come back and fill that with some little gold star confetti. We are going to again back the acetate with that 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive and place it directly over that. The confetti is not going to move as much as it would in a traditional shaker, but I love that look. It's very simple, and we will pop the whole thing on a white top fold card base to finish this design. Or at least I thought I was finished. Once I have it in place, I decided our tops of our candles need some Nuvo crystal drops in White Blizzard. And I feel like our cake and maybe a balloon needs some little heart accents to kind of finish it all off and to decorate it just a little bit. My next card is going to feature one of the new bold prints from the release. You know Hero Arts always brings the best background stamps with their bold prints. There is the birthday balloons and also the candles. I love them both equally. These are fantastic additions to your background stamp collection. We are going to do two different cards. For the first one, I am going to color the background for the birthday balloons, and then for the candles, we are going to ink blend over the top for embossed resist. Now, this card gave me fits, and it's so funny. It's simple, but the card totally gave me fits, and then I messed up adhering my sentiments to the background after I spent all of this time stamping and coloring. I colored in all of those balloons. And while it's not super time consuming, since we're doing kind of that faux watercolor technique from the first card with the number candles, it still is coloring and it still is time consuming. And I was so bummed. I had to take a break, and I came back to it later and thought, because originally I was like, I guess I'm just gonna have to start over. What happened was I adhered my sentiment on top of this, and then I stamped and embossed a phrase from the birthday Stampin' Cut underneath it, and I hated the color. You're going to see it here in a minute. I've left it all in the video because I think it's really important to share how to fix things if you make a mistake, or how to maybe come back from that and still make your card work. So there is a giant chunk of this background that I'm not using, but the recipient's not going to know that. It's a really just fun, cool, technique otherwise. So again, we're going to add our color. I am going to share the coloring on camera so you can see exactly how I colored this all in. I did leave out one step of the coloring, and that is my final step, which probably should have been my first step. Just a little disclaimer there. I went ahead and did a really, really light wash of Shadow Mauve all over the background, where I scribbled the Shadow Mauve marker on my glass work surface and then picked up the color with my water brush marker and colored around everything with that. It's hard to tell. The finished card still looks pretty white, but that little slight touch of blue color in the background helps highlight the balloons and the confetti really nicely. So because I stamped and embossed and applied my sentiment not where I wanted on my design, I ended up trimming away that part of the card at an angle. I thought it would look a little bit more interesting to do it that way. You could probably definitely just do it straight on as well. If you wanted to, I think that would be cute. There's probably several ways you could have fixed that, but that way, yes, I lost a little bit of the background, but I didn't lose enough of it to necessitate starting over, which was all I was looking for here. And I ended up really, really liking how it turned out. So that's a little bonus there. We're just going to finish coloring all of these in, and I am going to speed this up a little bit to get through it quicker. This is a really fun technique to do like in an evening if you're sitting and watching TV or something like that. You can just kind of sit and color. And again, this background, while I am making a birthday card, definitely can go for any type of celebration. I even think, wouldn't these be fun if you did like pink balloons for a baby girl, or light blue balloons for a baby boy, or whatever, yellows and greens, anything like that. I'm kind of thinking like a gender reveal party or something. I think these would be so cute to make cards, baby cards from these. Graduation cards with this background. Just switch up the colors of the balloons. Balloons are so, so versatile. So I trimmed down my background, and we're actually going to mat it on this slate gray cardstock at an angle. So I trimmed my background first, and I chose an angle just because I thought it would be interesting. You could also just trim out that part that you're not going to use, and then I'm just going to kind of leave this slate gray border along the top for a little bit of interest. Now at the top part of this birthday panel, like I feel like that's so much white at the top. I thought, well, could I use the upper part of my background? And maybe fill in that upper part of the corner, because even when I stamp a phrase from the birthday Stampin' Cut and add that awesome celebrate sentiment, it's not enough. So I'm going to actually use the bottom part that I already trimmed so I can get the angle correct, and I'm going to line that up with my trimmer, and you can see I already peeled away most of my die cut, but I stamped and embossed in black. I mean, you guys, what was I thinking? How many times do I say I don't use black on colors like this because it just, to me, it doesn't look good? And I went ahead and did it, and I messed up my background, but we're fixing it. And then I'm just gonna go ahead. It is a little thin strip, but I actually really, really loved how this turned out. I like how there's a little peak of color up here at the top. So we're just gonna mat this on our slate gray cardstock and then trim this out and place this up at the top. So we've got our top and our bottom. We are going to die cut the word celebrate from the birthday Stampin' Cut from metallic gold cardstock. And then we're going to die cut it again twice from just some smooth white cardstock or scrap cardstock. Mount them one on top of another, and then adhere that to our card base. And then we're going to stamp and emboss It's Party Time from the birthday Stampin' Cut as well. And then we'll emboss it with gold embossing powder. This is a great Stampin' Cut, by the way. It's a Stampin' Cut XL. You get Happy Birthday and Celebrate. You'll see Happy Birthday on my next or my last card here today, my 5th card. I used both of them. They're just fantastic. It's a really fun sentiment, font rather, for the sentiment. And here's kind of how that's going to look. We will even add some gold star confetti. I already added a little bit to this, but I will add even more to some of that white open space around our gold sentiments. And we're using the Hero Arts embossing and watermark ink for all of our embossing today. We'll just sprinkle on that embossing powder, heat set that, and finish with our little scattering of gold star confetti, as well as our layered Celebrate sentiment. And then I did put an acrylic block on top to help kind of hold this all nice and flat until the liquid adhesive is all dry. So our final card today is going to feature the candles bold print with an embossed resist background. We're going to start with a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of smooth cardstock. In fact, I think I used Bristol smooth cardstock here. And I am going to stamp that candles bold print with the embossing and watermark ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder. This would be another one that would look amazing colored in with zigs if you wanted to, or you could do a combination of maybe inking like I'm going to do embossed resist and then coloring over the whole thing with your zigs. They're going to work together if you wanted to. Now I went simple here and we're just going to do some ink blending. I wanted to kind of show a variety of different types of cards today. And this is definitely going to be a more simple style of card. We are going to take 5 colors of Hero Arts Reactive inks, starting with Taffy, and then Fruit Punch, Lemon Drop, Key Lime Fizz, and Pool Party, going back and forth in between each and making sure we're getting a seamless blend from one color to another. Everywhere that we have heat embossed is resisting the ink. And when we're finished, we will take a dry microfiber cloth. You could take a paper towel or something like that and remove any excess ink that is sitting on top of the embossed areas. Look how fun these candles are. I absolutely just can't get over how awesome these bold prints. And there is a good reason to clean your work surface. I picked up some of that taffy ink into my Pool Party. Luckily, I was able to buff it away, especially because I'm using Bristol cardstock, at least for the most part, and cover up that little mishap with the rest of my ink then. And then I'm simply buffing away with a clean, dry microfiber cloth. Look how beautiful this background is. I absolutely love it. Once this is completely dry, meaning I need this to be dry enough that I can stamp and emboss and my embossing powder won't stick to the reactive inks in the background, so I did let it sit for probably an hour. I am going to stamp the phrase "To You" from the Birthday Stampin' Cut right on the background and emboss that with gold embossing powder. And then we are going to do a technique similar to what we did on the Celebrate card, where we die cut Happy Birthday from metallic gold cardstock. We also die cut it from a couple times from white cardstock and stack them one on top of another and adhere it right above the "To You" sentiment. So very simple, but very, very pretty. And I love the rainbow colors of the background. I am going to embellish some of the candles with either Nuvo Crystal Drops and White Blizzard. So some of like the large polka dots, the little inside portion of the frame, things like that. We are just going to add some of that for touches of sparkle in the background. And then we will add some little gold star confetti to the star candles, like just adhering those directly to the candles. There are so many things you can do. You could definitely go more all in if you wanted to. Like I said, take your zigs and color over sections of the candles. I think that might be something fun to show. Maybe I'll try to do another sample with this, doing that technique, just to kind of show you some other things you can do over an ink blended background. Definitely let me know if you want to see that. But you could also leave it just completely plain. You do not have to go and add anything extra because this is a beautiful card just like it is. But when that Nuvo Crystal Drops dries, we're going to have a little touches of glitter everywhere, and then of course the nice little scattering of some gold star confetti right on those stars to just kind of tie into the gold embossing and the gold die cutting of our sentiment. I hope you guys have enjoyed this birthday card showcase featuring new stamps, dies, and stencils from the Hero Arts June 2021 My Monthly Hero release. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Hero Arts My Monthly Hero products that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.